Good afternoon, and I'd like to present a little bit what does it mean to run an institutional repository in a huge university like the University of Vienna. And for these, we are dealing with a lot of requirements, and the question is always how to organize everything and how to create also some kind of valid tool for the researchers. They should preserve their data into Fedora. So let's go back to the main idea, what's happening at our university. This is 2007, we had this idea. We wanted to have a home for all our digital objects. The choice was back then a Fedora-based repository. So we built something on top of Fedora. We call it Fedora. And this should ideally store everything what's around in the university. We started then with the objects from the library. So there were a lot of digitalization projects in the library itself. So mainly books, but also some other collections like photo collections or something like this. And these object goes into the Fedora, and everything worked fine because the project was a cooperation between the computer center and the library. So both know how the system works, and for both it's the same, that the metadata and everything, it's how these really in place and how it was good. And then the next step was then to bring it broader to the university and to become an institutional repository, especially for objects from research. And with opening up, so in theory it was open all the time, but we reached out to a broader community, and with opening up we saw a lot of challenges, and I like to present some of these challenges we addressed, and we came over, and then how we addressed it and what we did. So the challenge number one, our users didn't know what we need. So this was, we offered the repository in the sense, this is Fedora repository. You can store everything, every outcome of your research, whatever you think about, and give it to us, and we preserve it there for long term. This was nice, and they really came to us and gave us some objects, some files, and then we were here, and then we was talking about you need to edit some metadata, you need to choose a license so that other people know what is how they can reuse the object. And then there was the question, what is metadata, what is license? And then the question is, why should we do this? So keeping everything, they thought it was something what offering from the university just to store it and hide and just another kind of hard drive where they put where they can put in the data. This was completely misleading. And this was all the question, and we had, as we saw, there was a little bit of miscommunication, and we didn't came along with this, and so forth. We developed a workflow model. This was a communication tool mainly for us, and in this tool we explained especially the what's happening when they bring us their data, and what kind of responsibility they have till a certain point in the workflow. So this is here in this phase 2, where we hand over the data from the data production to the data management. And in this point of this point, we saw we need all to clarify which kind of data they have. We need to clarify the metadata. We need to clarify all the legal issues. Then we can preserve it. We can put into the into Fedora. We store it in Fedora everything. And from these, there are some kind of reuse scenarios back then, and also in the reuse scenario we need have some kind of common way to reuse. And if there are some special needs in reusing the data, we also need to talk about what are the special needs of reusing and how we can work together to address these special needs in reuse. So this made a lot of things clear. And this helped us especially in training purpose and also in all the support stuff and communicating. And so more people now came in and bring us their data, and we saw, okay, this challenge may be ticked, and we overcome the problems, and this is not clear. And then the next challenge came over. So we didn't know what our user needed. We had the thing that we came from the library, and the first people we are talking to were people they are very close to libraries and using libraries very heavily. That were the people from the humanities. And the people from the humanities were easy to explain what's the kind of reusing the data and also kind of metadata and license and so on. But it gets more and more complicated if we also go to other disciplines, especially in the science departments like physics or chemistry, and so there were a lot of misunderstandings. So we used our terminology and they used it in a completely different way. And also the culture of reuse were completely different that we had noticed from the humanities. And also the thing was they had a completely other way of thinking about data. And for us it's also the question how to integrate them into their workflow and into their way of thinking, how they think the data, and to integrate everything in a process that it's very easy for them not to because they work different with metadata, not to add then metadata manually. They have a lot of metadata already automatically in the system, and the question is how to transport these this information into the metadata and how we can do this. So this is still something which is work in progress, and this is we are doing to reach out to more and more research project, and this is really a lot of work in it. Maybe to give an overview, what does it mean from our perspective of the university? We have at our university about 20 faculties. And these faculties, they're from different disciplines, and I clustered them in different things. So you see humanities, but we also have a lot of life science, technology, engineering, and others. Others means we have also some traditional studies like theology or law studies. And so a huge variety of stuff we are getting, and also a huge variety of different culture. This is a little bit misleading. So this is just counting the faculties, but when we see it on the amount of researchers, we have more from the humanities, but overall it gives a good insight, it gives a good picture what's happening from our university. And now when we have a look at the objects from what we have in our repository, in an institutional repository, we see that the main stuff which is in there are from the humanities. This is also about our tradition. So this is the humanities we understand the best, and we can communicate with them in a very equal way. But we don't understand a lot the life sciences we see. So the life science is very challenging for us. And for these, we now doing more and more projects together with them, so to get known their situation and also to get more information about the kind of data which they're having, which they have, and also social science. But social science is a little bit different because we also have another disciplinary repository or disciplinary institution in Austria for social science. So they also go to them because they have also some kind of data curation there, and they have a better support than in our institutional repository. We as an institutional repository always tell the people the best place is to bring it the data where your peers are in a disciplined way. But if you don't have any, come to us and we try to support you in the best way. So this is now work in progress, and as we see, when we want to have this equal pie chart as with before, that we get as a representative institutional repository for the university, we have to do a lot of work. And so the third challenge, and this is coming out from the discussion and from the work directly with the research projects, is that we have a lot of different kind of data, and we don't see it's possible to preserve every kind of data in a repository, in the Fedora repository. And that's the main thing. Which kind of data are relevant for the university, which we should preserve, and if it's not possible to preserve everything in this infrastructure, what we should do and how we deal with these challenges. And the other thing is this: this is also the cultural thing I addressed before. If we go to other disciplines, if we go to other researchers, they talk maybe in a slightly different way. So we clustered for these the data. And first of all, because this is something what we can really handle with Fedora very easily, is the file-based data. And then we clustered this small amount of data and big data. So the big data is something we are not really know how we can address it and if it's really relevant for the university. So this is also the question what we had before. But the small amount of data, this is mainly what we are doing. But also we saw that we had a lot of software and source code. So, and I see this in two different things, the software, because in many ways, the people, when they talk about preserving software, they mean that the software is up and running and not in a repository. So not preserving the source code, it's really the running environment. And the same thing happens with databases. So the way of how to preserve the databases is that they want to have these databases up and running, and the people can query the databases. And also talking to to different people, what is a database, they come different answers. So from humanity perspective, a database is something the database in the term of software design is the database itself, a database, and on top an application, and both together is in their sense a database. So when we go to natural science, they have also the view of databases like more technical point of view, but for them often a database is just a CSV file. So we have a big variety also, and it's hard to deal with all this stuff. We made a report on this, but this is quite old now. This is from 2015, but if somebody is interested, the link is in the presentation. This is a questionnaire which we had in Austria. So the things slightly changed over the time. Now we see more demand on requests and databases and more requests in software. I think these both things will rise, but the other things will still be there. This is what I mentioned before, how to preserve databases and how to do it. And we see it in a way we need for these different kind of infrastructure. We're doing some experiments with this, but the Fedora is the strong center and the strategic center for every kind of data preservation. So especially when it comes to searching which kind of data we have at our university, we bring the people to our institutional repository, and with the strong center we like to link it then out to other special infrastructure where maybe they have some kind of running software or some kind of databases which are possible to query. And the variety and the complex is very high of this stuff. So what are the key findings now from, we are doing this now for about 10 years, and we see it's for running a repository, it's very important to engage with the researcher, because only then we see all the need and all we can find a common language with them, and then they are also willing to bring the data. So there are still some cultural differences also in the research discipline to share data, to preserve data, but in the discussion a lot of people are willing and seeing the sense of preserving the data and putting the data into a repository. But the understanding and the amount what they need, they are too high. So there is the level it's not equal, and it's there are some problems in communications, and for these it's very necessary to engage with them. And very key is you need a strong center, and for us Fedora is really this strong center for doing the data preservation for our university and for the as an institutional one. And the institutional one cannot focus on just one aspect. We have to cover what the reality of the whole university. So this is it for my presentation. If you have any question, I'm happy to take it now. And if there are some questions later, you can also send me an email. Thank you.